Hello, everybody. Good evening and welcome to Catholic Campus Ministry here at UCF. My name is Brother Adam Neary. I'm the Director of Catholic Campus Ministry here. We have an awesome night tonight. I'm going to keep myself really short, very brief. I just want to offer you all a welcome on behalf of Catholic Campus Ministry here at UCF. We're grateful to all of our guests tonight. I'm going to let Sebastian introduce the rest of our guests, but one word of encouragement for us tonight, from my perspective, is my encouragement is that we have ears that are open, eyes that are open, hearts that are open, to be able to let the truth of what we hear tonight sink into the depths of our being, and let God speak His truth to us tonight through the words that we're going to hear from our different presenters. So again, welcome. I'm going to invite up Sebastian, who is on our student e-board, and Sebastian is going to introduce our next speakers. Thank you.
How's everyone doing tonight? Yeah, so as Brother Adam said, my name is Sebastian Dominguez, and I'm serving as the spiritual coordinator here at CCM. And with the help of the e-board and Brian, there's a lot of people that were involved in this to make this happen. So I just want to thank you guys for coming out and just hearing what they have to say. And so Brian was the lead point on the other end to make this happen. And just a little quick bio of Brian. Brian is a senior vice president of investments at a global Fortune 100 company. He has been active in many different philanthropic endeavors that has taken him throughout the world. He has served as the executive board member of the Boys and Girls Club, co-founder of the U.S. Institute Against Human Trafficking, NEI, Near East Initiatives group throughout the Middle East. He is active in various global missions, and he is the current board member of the Florida Dream Center, which also has helped make this happen. And he has been doing all this fighting the war on human trafficking. So if everyone could just please give a round of applause for Brian.
Real quick, thank you, St. Paul's Outreach, Brother John, Brother Adam, thank you so much. Also, CCM, what a great organization. What a great organization. And Felipe, where's Felipe? Thank you. Thank you very much. And Angela, good to see you. Haley, Kelly, with two L's. Kelly. Ashley and Sebastian, thank you guys so much. Real quick, tonight is a serious subject. Tonight it's going to be kind of a rated R version of human trafficking. There's certain things that we won't get into and certain things that we will. But this is for you. We see it and hear it on a regular basis. So we're here for your edification, for your knowledge, and for you guys to be able to gain that knowledge. A lot of times you have to ask questions. So on each one of the seats is a little piece of paper. In the breaks, in between speakers, we're going to collect those pieces of paper, write a question on there that you might want answered, because at the very end we're going to have a panel of the primary speakers, and we're going to be able to ask them questions. We've got a survivor here. We've got two gentlemen that actively are doing rescues and are constantly speaking at different engagements like this. So, and we'll get into more detail of that later, but for your edification, there's little pieces of paper on each chair. Write a question down. You don't have to do it right at the beginning, but through the evening, I think it'd be good. I do want to give a shout out to Steve Cleveland here. Steve is the executive director of the Florida Dream Center. I mean, without Steve's help, I mean, really the glue of the Florida Dream Center wouldn't be there. I mean, he keeps that flow going on a regular basis. So I just want to say thank you to Steve. So on a regular basis, I get asked, how did I get started in the fight against human trafficking? And the quick version of it is, I was in Beirut, I was in Lebanon about 8 years ago now. Wow, time And I was working with an organization called the Near East Initiative Group, working with different businesses and organizations all throughout the Middle East. And at that time, it was the Syrian refugee crisis that was going on. Everybody remembers that. And it was my first exposure to seeing young men and women, really children, who were being adopted for potentially a better life in the United States, and what they didn't realize is they were being sold into slavery. And I couldn't turn a blind eye to that. So I came back to the country, the United States, and I started doing my homework on kind of, who's leading this fight against these trafficked individuals. And it's not just for sexual exploitation, it's also for labor and a lot of other things. But that's why we call it human trafficking and not sex trafficking, because we're trafficking for many reasons. And I came across a gentleman who I'm going to introduce. His name is Pastor Bill Asasso. And I remember my first exposure to him. He's like, "Oh, you want to join the fight? Okay. Thanks very much. Thanks for showing up." And it's that consistency of being there, kind of like a bad rash, just keep showing up. And Bill finally came to the conclusion that I wasn't going to go away. So thankfully, he started including me with his organization called the Florida Dream Center. And as time progressed, the human trafficking portion of that organization started to grow. And we were lucky enough to have a sister organization pop up called the U.S. Institute Against Human Trafficking. And with that collaboration, we were able to really make an impact. And the organization has been involved in north of 200 rescues in one way or another, which is a huge accomplishment and something, we'd rather not do any rescues, but at the end of the day, it's something that's necessary. So with that, I am going to bring up our first speaker, Pastor Bill Asasso. He went from being a hippie in the 1960s at the University of Colorado. He always loves when I bring that up. To being a successful businessman. He was both an executive at Samsonite Luggage as well as a Catalina marketing organization. He became an ordained minister and was responsible for the startup of 6 churches from Florida all the way out to California to one in Guatemala that he's going to this Friday. He served on the board of Big Brothers Big Sisters, Junior Achievements, Florida Baptist State Board of Missions, and he's currently our president of the Florida Dream Center. So with that, I'm going to hand this over to Bill Asasso. So thank you very much. Don't forget about the questions.
Thank you very much, Brian. Guys, tonight you're going to learn what human trafficking is. You're going to learn how bad it is. You're going to get educated. You're going to get mad. And what I hope also, though, is you'll be informed about something you can do about it. If you just get educated and get mad, it doesn't help much. But if you really have some action items, then that's going to be helpful to you. And I'm going to begin by telling you how we got involved. Let's take a look at this slide. I have the clicker. He's sitting over there. What now? Somebody, I'm clicking this. One that says left and right. Okay, so this is Florecita. She's a little girl in Guatemala. And Florecita and her mom lived on the dirt, and we were over there helping a bunch of people who live on the dirt in Guatemala. And in the middle of it, we fell in love with her and her mom. In the middle of the night, Florecita's mom died. And they don't do forensics, they bury them the next day. So we never know what happened. But she was immediately an orphan, living in the slum. And so we had a couple with us on that trip that said, we will adopt her. And that's great, but it takes a long time. So what happened was the slum people said, we will take care of her until you get this done. So I came back to our church in the States, told them, And a guy came up to me after service and said, "Hey, Pastor Bill, I never told you what I do for a living, but I work in special operations for a certain branch of the government. And if you want that girl out of Guatemala, we can get her out." And I was very excited, and we set it up. And I called our pastor down there that works for me and said, "Hey, we can get Florecita." And he was stone silent. And I said, "What's the matter?" He said, "A trafficker just left my office. He put a gun on my desk. And he said, I think you're going to try and take that girl." And he thought, adoption. And he said, "I'm going to tell you how it works here. If that girl disappears, one of your kids will disappear. And you got 3 kids. Here are their names, here are their ages, and here's your address. And you got to make a decision." And I had to make a decision on that phone call, not to rescue that little girl. She's never been seen or heard from again. What if you knew a friend that was raped? It would break your brain, I'll tell you, it would hurt you bad. What if she was 11 years old? What if she was being raped 10 to 20 times a night by pigs who paid to rape her? Welcome to the world of human trafficking. By the way, in the 2-county area where we live, St. Pete, Tampa, there are over 50 girls right now in certain places under the age of 18 that have already been trafficked. So to me, guys, it's not just global, it's personal. And when I got back, law enforcement took me and helped me and trained me so amazingly. You couldn't buy the training from FBI to Homeland Security to agencies. Here's one thing. You'll hear about triggers later in this. I can't look at her picture. And the first time I did after that, I almost threw up, and I would again. So let's take a look at the next one here. What is trafficking? It's enslaving people against their will for commercial sex or forced labor. Could be a domestic slave in a house, or a restaurant, or agriculture. And victims generally have no identification, no means of communication or support. This is not smuggling. People can come into our country smuggled because they want to be. This is trafficking, whether they're brought in or whether it's here. They don't want it to happen. This is not smuggling, this is trafficking. Also, victims are not prostitutes. Prostitutes have some freedom for the most part. They can spend some of their money, they can walk, they can shop, they can do certain things. This is not prostitution. You're going to hear it today. This is trafficking, and it is light years away. You know, many of you probably heard about the massage parlor rescues on the East Coast just a month ago. And famous people were clients. When they were rescued, those girls were brought to us. And only 8 people in the world know where they went. 4 of those people are here in this room. And I'm telling you that because I hope at some point some of you will get motivated. And you'll want to be on a team that helps these people. It's, for all the sadness involved, it is great to be on the helping side. Here's a point about this, though. Those famous people and otherwise who were caught on video raping these women are getting charged with misdemeanor solicitation. Misdemeanor solicitation. I wish you could see the conditions of a girl who's just rescued. And someday maybe you will, but it's horrifying, put it that way. There are girls and boys sold in cages around the world. There are some chained to beds right here in our country. In your own area here, guys, just a couple of years ago, there was a 4-year-old girl with gonorrhea. Misdemeanor solicitation? I don't think so. I think it's a sick thing we're doing, treating it like that. The 2 biggest rescues that were involved in our state at the time were labor and sex rescues. And one of them was 27 people rescued at once, 123. And we were very blessed to use our church when law enforcement gets them, bring them to the church, and we have rooms set up for interviews, for food, for intake, for medical. And we're telling you that because you can do that too. You could do that. You could go to law enforcement wherever your church is, wherever your city is, and say, we want to partner with you. And when you need a place to bring people to do what you have to do, use our place. Folks, I'm telling you, I hope you'll do it. It's a beautiful thing. Bad guys take their IDs, or they're too young to have IDs. You know, the average age is still around 12 years old when people are taken into this thing. They're threatened, they're brutalized, they're addicted. We had a 13-year-old boy come to us, and the doctor that saw him said to me, if he gets years and years of therapy, he may be okay mentally one day, but physically, he will never be okay for the rest of his life. Misdemeanor solicitation. Most girls will say this when they come in and they need medical attention really bad. And they say, if you're going to take me to a male doctor, I won't go. I would rather hurt the way I'm hurting than go to a man. Here's a picture some of you may have seen for other reasons. It's the same girl. Different ages in her period of being trafficked. And again, started out as a pretty young girl, somebody's daughter, and ended up like that. Girls have come, of course, to us with broken ribs, internal damage, you can't imagine, teeth kicked out, and recently in our area, under a bridge, one of them was murdered, and it's still an open case. Victims, unbelievably, are generally indebted to traffickers for smuggling, which again isn't smuggling, and living fees, which they can never pay back. Those massage parlor girls didn't even have a place to live. They slept on massage parlor beds, well, it's not a bed, table, and they had to pay to do that. So whatever money they made, they didn't get any of it. And the victims are afraid of the police if they're foreign, afraid of deportation, violence against their families, and of course they're forced into addictions. And remember, they don't want to come here in the first place. And I have a little parenthetical phrase, yacht rentals. Florida, you know, has a lot of big events. And if you're on the water somewhere, you can rent a yacht for that event, and you can rent the girls on it. And you can specify what you want. We had a girl that was a very brave girl. There were two guys that were trafficking, she and others. One of the bad guys got caught and she got rescued. The other bad guy never got caught. Well, she agreed to prosecute, and she was hidden in a women's shelter. The bad guy who wasn't caught found out where she was. I don't know how. But there are lots of ways. Your cell phones are so easy to track, it's unbelievable. Unbelievable. We've had them come to our office with a girl in the office because they tracked her to our office. Anyway, so this girl was in a shelter. Bad guy found out where she was, dressed up like a woman, and went in there and tried to kill her. He ended up breaking her back, but he didn't kill her. So she got out, she had to be moved, and she was coming to our church, and the bad guy came to our church and tried to get her. So she obviously had to go into the witness protection program, which is very hard to get into. But the bad thing about that, I mean, it was good for her, but she could no longer have contact with any of us. So we lost her because that's part of what witness protection is. Girls in this room, date rape drugs in your drinks are staggeringly effective. And many times, a girl will be subject to that. They'll take you to a warehouse or somewhere. 10 guys will rape you on video and then tell you, we want you 3 nights a week, or we're going to show this to your family, to your church, and on the internet. And she's sucked in with feeling like there's no way out. Some of them, unbelievably, guys, develop trauma bonds. And a trauma bond would be like Stockholm Syndrome, where they actually fall in love in a way with the bad guy. And they think that he loves her, and they think that he's great to her because he buys her food. It is so sick. Sometimes the people who rescue them, the girls are mad that they were rescued and that you're punishing their boyfriends. It's really sad. I'll tell you something else that happens. There's a thing called DID, Dissociative Identity Disorder. And this is such a hard thing. What it amounts to, it used to be called multiple personality disorder. But the girls, the day they get taken, when they get scared, when they get triggered, when they need to retreat, they will go back to that day. Here's an example. I had a 23-year-old in my office across the desk from me, and whatever I said, something that triggered her, scared her. And she went back to being 14 years old in front of my face. And I mean her vocabulary, her voice, everything. 14 years old sitting in front of me. The worst one I had until a few months ago was a 20-year-old who went back to being 8, and they couldn't get her out of it. She wouldn't come back. 8 years old. She wasn't going to go one day further because that's when she started getting hurt. But the worst one was just a few months ago. Came out of Orlando. Pretty girl. 18 years old, she escaped at the risk of her life. She had been trafficked since she was 4 years old. Never been to school one day in her life. Had 5 children along the way, and everyone sold on the dark web. The reason she ran at the risk of her life is because she's pregnant again. And she said, I would rather die than give up another baby to this hell. She's a very brave girl. We put her in a place somewhere in Florida, good place. And within 3 weeks, they called and said, we cannot, as good as we are, we cannot do what this girl needs. And as far as I know, there's only one place in the United States that can really do what she needs, and we sent her there. Misdemeanor solicitation. Over 600,000 victims a year trafficked across international borders. It's tough to get these numbers right because you don't register and say I'm a sex trafficker. But 15,000 in the U.S. is probably a good estimate. 27 million right now are enslaved worldwide. Many of those are labor trafficked. But if you're a woman, you could be labor trafficked in the day and sex trafficked at night. And this is slavery, guys, period. We've had a mother and a daughter. Yeah. You mean in my water bottle? Yeah. We had a mother and a daughter, both trafficked, both filmed together. Can you imagine the damage done to them? It's really sick. And I'll tell you part of the damage. You guys have heard of post-traumatic stress disorder. Soldiers get it coming back from war, and it's horrific. Big, strong, well-meaning male soldiers get it. The level that these girls have PTSD is almost immeasurable. Here's the reason. Soldiers knew they were going to war. Soldiers were trained. Soldiers had defense mechanisms, and it still screwed them up. These girls had no idea they were going to go to war. No defense mechanisms, no training whatsoever. So one day you're a little kid, the next day you're being raped by pigs, and you have no idea what world you're just in. It's that bad. Now I need to tell you some good news because nobody's breathed in here since I started. So here's a good one. We got a call from a girl in Orlando, and she said, hey, the bad guys left, and they left a cell phone, so I'm calling you. Can you rescue me? It was 5:20 in the afternoon. They told me they'll be back at 7 o'clock and do a round of pigs. Can you rescue me? So, man, we sent our team out, and then, in talking to her, figured out she was not in Orlando. She was in Leesburg. She just didn't know where she was. And once we discovered it, it was far too late for our guys to get her. So we called, it so happens the first speech I ever gave on human trafficking was in Leesburg, Florida. So I called the organizer of that speech and said, by any chance, do you happen to know the number of a cop on the ground? I can't talk to the mayor. I can't take time to talk to the chief of police. I got to know a guy in a car. Do you know a guy in a car? And he did. And I got the guy. And at 20 minutes till 7, they rescued the girl and they got the bad guys. So see, that's good news, isn't it? All right, everybody breathe again. Yeah. Come on. U.S. runaways are huge targets, and the younger the better. The reason is $50 billion in profits, guys, per year to worldwide bad guys. It's second only now to drug sales. It just passed weapons a couple of years ago. You can sell a drug or a weapon once, but you sell a girl over and over and over. There's a pretty famous video of a guy in New York. It's an undercover body cam. And he videoed this trafficker, and he was telling some potential clients, for $200, I can get you a 14-year-old. For $300, I can get you an 11-year-old. It's on camera. Runaways. You know where runaways go? Downtown of any town. They just think that's where the action is. And the bad guys will go up to them, and they're waiting for you. And they'll say something like, man, you've got beautiful eyes. And if the girl says, yeah, I'm pretty hot, that's not who they want. They want the girl that hangs her head and says, I'm not pretty. She's the one who's already been messed with, already got some kind of a victim mentality. Something's already happened to her, and she is easy pickings. Easy. Tell them you love them. Tell them you buy them dinner. Tell them whatever you want. They're gone. In minutes. Targets, again, are runaways, throwaways, homeless. We gave a speech in Hillsborough County, the Parks and Recreation Department. Steve was on the board of that. And all the workers, 100 some folks, and talked about this. And afterwards, some of them came up crying. And they said, you know, we put on summer camps and occasional and weekend things, all kinds of good stuff. And occasionally, a girl will be missing. She's not missing, is she? She's not missing. She was taken. And she's not coming back. And it really hit them hard. One time we had a recruiter call us, a bad girl. The bad guys use girls, and they will recruit other girls. And the recruiter called us from the hospital in St. Petersburg and said, can you help me? She was in a hospital bed. We didn't know that she had not called the police. She should have called the police first. So we went to see her, see what we could do to help. And before we got there, since her room wasn't guarded, the bad guy got up there and stuck a bunch of stuff in her IV line. This is life and death stuff. You don't mess around with these guys. Again, another story that's good. We found out a bad guy in Miami was trying to get 6 girls for a new house he was opening in the world's largest women's prison, which is in Ocala, Florida. We have an informant there in the prison. Well, there was a recruiter in there somewhere that this bad guy is telling us. And we didn't know who, nobody knew. But the warden said, I'll let you talk to 150 girls who are getting out in 6 months. That's probably his target. So we gave our speech, praise and worship music. You don't know what's going to happen. When we finished, a girl raised her hand, said, I need to say something. She said, I'm the bad girl. I'm the recruiter. And you talk about drop your teeth. What do you do with that? She said, I'm getting out of here in 5 days. I'm scared to death, and I don't want to go back to him. And so we got to initiate a rescue in the prison. She put her life in danger when she said that. But that was just another God intervening, God intervening, God intervening. It's a beautiful thing. We had one man from a foreign country being trafficked. And he got hold of a cell phone, called the police, and they said, we'll be right there. And he said, no, I'll stay here for up to 2 weeks more if you tell me what information you need to fry these guys. What do you need to get a case that is bulletproof so they will fry? He was a brave man, a thin little man from India. And so anyway, law enforcement came and said, can you hide this guy when we get him out? It'll be up to 2 weeks, but we don't think he's going to last 2 weeks. And he called me in 2 days, and they had to get him out. Predictors, parental substance abuse. That's a predictor that one of the kids disappearing. Sexual abuse on the kid, poverty, violence in the home, foster care. And of course, internet predators. I'll tell you, girls, if you date somebody online, it's your business, but you're putting yourself at such risk you can't even imagine. Oh, you'll hear more about that. These girls are property, disposable property. One time a TV show was doing something special on us. That during a break, the producer asked my assistant, Donna, what do you think of all this trafficking? And she said, well, I've been with Pastor Bill since the beginning, but until I sat across the table in a rescue from a dead woman, a woman who looked me in the eye and she had no hope, no dreams. She knew that no man would ever love her, no woman would ever trust her, no church would ever take her. She said, then I understood human trafficking. Misdemeanor solicitation. So what can you guys do to help? You can get educated. You're in the business of getting educated. But if this triggers something in you by the end of tonight, I would do everything you can. There's a lot of stuff on the web out there to help educate you, but you can be used in Speakers Bureau ways. If you learn to give a speech like I'm giving, you will be in demand all over the place. From churches to businesses that want to know. It's now a hot subject. It wasn't a few years ago. But you can do that. Matter of fact, we were asked to speak in Washington, D.C. at the Organization of American States. This is a group of ambassadors from around the world, American, 34 countries. And they asked me to speak, and I wasn't sure why. The American ambassador asked me to go into this detail. So I did, and at the end of it, he said, you want to know why you were here? I said, yeah. He said, because in this room we make laws and we watch traffickers of all kinds, from drugs to sex. But not one of us has ever been in the presence of a survivor. And we wanted to hear what it was like. And that's pretty neat. And you know, if you get on a team and you get to be used, you can be very valuable in the education of people. We were even asked to speak to 75 international judges and prosecutors, including the American judge that prosecuted Saddam Hussein. Lots of things you can do, guys, and you can learn how do you look for somebody's being trafficked. If it's labor, like there are a lot of ethnic restaurants that have this going on, people brought in from foreign countries against their will, again, it's trafficked. And you can ask them if you get a chance. Or if you've noticed, you can tip the police. Are they being driven to and from work? Many of them are in a van. They don't get to drive by themselves. They will not open up and talk to you. Maybe they're in severe depression. Maybe they're addicted. All those kind of things. And sex trafficking, if you happen to run into somebody there, which isn't too likely, but they will be branded. They'll have a brand. You'll learn more about that. They won't look you in the eyes. They'll keep their heads down. Somebody else will speak for them. So you can learn those kind of things. So you can really look at somebody and have a good idea. Well, here's something else you can do in your church, in your synagogue, in wherever you go to. This is a boutique that we have in an undisclosed location. And law enforcement can bring girls here or any way they can come to us. This is not open to the public. It's a secret place, and everything in it's free. And this is for the survivors of sex trafficking. And they will cry in there when they learn that everything is for free, it's for them. In fact, I tell them if I'm personally there at the beginning, this room was built just for you, just for you. And they'll cry and many other things besides that. You know, we talked about rescue in prison, but here's the reason it's more important now than ever. I'm glad we got to do the first one, but I hope it's not the last. The bad guys now know the moment that the girls are getting out of prison. It is public record. You can go online and look it up. And they're waiting for them in cars outside the prison. We had one deed offer, which we haven't taken up yet, just for timing reasons, from a Christian motorcycle club. And they said, why don't you let us be at the door when it happens, and we'll meet the guys who want to pick them up. I thought, boy, that's the best idea I've heard in a long time. So we'll keep you posted on that one. And guys, another thing you can do is help with housing for survivors getting out of prison. Many of them have been in prison because of stuff they did while being trafficked. And that law is being changed state by state. But they were not responsible for what they did. It's being recognized now, but many of them are still in there. And they need a place to go. If they're over 17, they get no funding, they get no help, and we need to provide places for them to live. And you can support existing organizations. You can donate to them, you can learn from them. One day you can even be equipped to join them. And that's a powerful thing. Here's another thing you can do that we just started. I mean, not recently, we just had a few people go through. And this is furniture restoration. And what we'll do is take a broken chair, for example, this was a chair. Here's the back, here's the legs. It was broken. It's now a dog bed. Wake up. It's a very nice dog bed. But what happens here is so therapeutic. The girls will take a broken thing and make it pretty again. And they believe maybe they can be pretty again. And it's just a wonderful project. You could learn to do this. Really not that hard. And it's very, very valuable. You can see that. You could also join us in Guatemala. First, I'll tell you this. The first boys' home in the nation has been started. Brian, again, is on that board. And 5 beds in the United States of America. Can you imagine that? So it's a start. There need to be many, many more. That is a home for sexually trafficked little boys. What really kicked that off was one of the board members of both of our organizations went to the Super Bowl in Phoenix a couple years ago with the FBI for a sting. And they rescued, I think, 12 little girls. And when interviewing them, 5 of them were little boys dressed as girls. So, you've got lots of ways you could help as you go into this. And again, I said join us in Guatemala. We got to go to the country where we lost our girl. This weekend I'll be going for the 36th time. Still haven't found Florecita. At any rate, we got to meet the president of the country. We got to teach the attorney general and 150 of his lead officers about human trafficking. And the way God led us to teach them, because it's totally crazy that we did. But I had a way to open my speech to them, and God changed it completely. I was going to teach them about trafficking. Instead, what he had me say was, I came here to you officers, to Mr. Attorney General, to apologize to you and to beg your forgiveness, because your women and children and boys are being raped and tortured and killed in my country. and I beg your forgiveness. Got their attention immediately. Now to them, it's personal too. We have 45 teams a year go down there. You'll hear if you're looking at government sites about Guatemala that the police will tear your head off and eat it for lunch. There are police holding up Bibles. Okay? We had a donor from Canada say, we want to do something for you guys because we have access to the National Police. And they gave us 25,000 Bibles. They made them fit in the pocket of the police. They have an introduction from the Attorney General. And so they gave us 25,000 Bibles from the Guatemala National Police. And they came back a year or so later and said, we felt like God wanted something else. They gave us 25,000 more for the police to hand out. So these police that have the reputation of tearing your head off are handing out Bibles, just so you know. Okay, not all of them, but some of them. Some of them. And this is kind of the slum where Florecita was, over on the dirt, the corn stalk. And on the right is where we're building houses now to put those people in. And they're secure, you can lock the door. They have concrete floor. And I think we built 500 now. Here's something else though, guys. If you'd rather do something with your brains instead of maybe being called to go do it with your hands, push for stricter laws as you go down. Because just a couple of years ago, if you caught a trafficker, he was given a 6-month sentence, like a pimp in a prostitution case. Then a guy got 19 months. Then a guy got 19 years. Then some fool made the stupid decision to traffic girls interstate between here and Atlanta. That's now a federal case. He had the misfortune of getting a female federal judge. His sentence was life plus 5. Oh yeah, cheer for that. Cheer for that. Yeah, pretty cool. Now the problem is that's for traffickers. The men who are paying to do the raping get nothing. Misdemeanor solicitation. We're so far behind the Justice 8 ball here, it's staggering. Things like HR 1865 really did some good stuff. Craigslist shut down, Exotic Review, City Vibe, Backpage. I mean, there's some good things going on where some of these things are being stopped in a big degree. But more needs to happen. Like this, we need to allow survivors to sue the hotels, the motels that they were trafficked in, and the insurance companies that covered the hotels. Now you're talking about their pocketbook. That's something. And there was a law in the Florida Congress to do that, and it got stopped. It never even got voted on. That needs to be back in front of everybody. Now, global law needed. This is for girls and boys trafficked from outside into our country. And somebody else gave us this idea. His name is, well, I don't have permission to give his name. Maybe I did it, but I didn't ask. At any rate, and he said, if you want to stop this globally, you make a deal with these foreign countries that if you catch any of their people coming in here trafficked, they lose their most favored nation status and we stop funding. Then they will help stop trafficking. It won't be us once it's inside here happening. Don't bring that crap in here. You stop it or we don't give you money. I love that. That needs to happen. Now, here's the problem. The average life expectancy of a kid being trafficked is 7 years. And they die of 4 common things. Overdose on drugs, sexually transmitted diseases, suicide, and murder. Not misdemeanor solicitation. So here's your challenge that I'll wrap up with. My generation has identified human trafficking. We brought it to public attention, at least to start. We're learning things about aftercare that are pretty good miles ago. We've got some good strategic law enforcement and public things going on. However, my generation is not going to stop this. Your generation needs to be the one to do it. And I'm not kidding about that. I don't even know if I'll live long enough to see you do it. But if my wife keeps making me eat salad, I probably will. I hope some of you will become attorneys, and you will be a mean attorney. Ask for forgiveness from God, but I mean, you got to be mean, and make this your specialty. Go in there and go after this thing. I hope some of you become pastors or ministers. These people need you. They need you bad. You know how they think maybe God doesn't even love them? You imagine somebody thinking God doesn't even love them? They need you. I hope some of you will become social workers on the front line and upon the rescue that these brave people do. And by the way, I'm not a brave person. We don't knock down doors. We don't do that. But we're there after the doors are knocked down, and we pray for the guys doing the knocking. That's good. But nonetheless, you can be social workers who are there waiting for them. You're going to hug them, feed them, and do whatever it takes. Man, do that. Some of you may really feel led to be law enforcement agents in some government or law enforcement agency. Powerful, powerful, powerful. And that's more than just knocking down doors. There are data mining things nowadays with computers. There are all kinds of things where you can be used in this fight if you choose to. You could be politicians who will forget about party lines and nonsense. And you'll say, I got a mission, I got a task, and you better not even get in my way. I want this stopped. Guys, my generation isn't going to get it done. There's not enough time left. You can. Believe me, you were prayed for before you walked in this room. You really were. So, I hope I live long enough to see you bring these things to its knees. I wish we'd hear someday from bad guys around the world that it would be a stupid thing for them to come into the United States of America, and they're not going to do it. Well, here's the thing. Last slide. Laura Seitz has been gone over 10 years. And, chances are she's no longer alive. But I'm in denial of that, so it's okay. And the FBI has been really good to me. They'll call me if they've got a girl that would be about her age that they rescued from Guatemala, and it hasn't been her. But here's the thing about it. I'm very thrilled that you guys are here. Because I hope one day one of you will get so involved in this that you're going to call me and say, Pastor Bill, we found her. We found Floresita, and she's going to be okay. Thank you for listening.
It's pretty impactful when you hear it from people who have not just seen it but lived it. And just like what I said, what got me involved in this was seeing it firsthand when I was in Beirut. Bill experienced it firsthand with this young lady. Hopefully tonight, this will be something that will impact you to push you towards doing something about it also. I love when he goes down that list of all the different occupations and how you can be involved no matter what you're doing. There's always a reason and an avenue to help like this cause. The next speaker is a friend of mine, and he's been around the block a little. And I'm, in the interest of not really messing up a lot. I'm going to just read off what I wrote about my buddy Boz here. He's a Citadel graduate. He's a former U.S. Marine counterterrorism officer, CIA intelligence special ops officer. He's the current president of the Association for the Recovery of Children in Life, guarantor for clients finding themselves in threatening circumstances. He has an unusual name and even a more unusual vocation. He secretly rescues those missing children that authorities can't find or have given up trying to reunite with their parents or their custodians. He's operated in the shadows since about 1991. He's been dubbed by journalist Diane Diamond the patron saint of missing children. He's a former CIA officer who takes on the most impossible cases, and he doesn't charge the family a penny to do it. With volunteer help from other retired intelligence officers, Boz travels all over America and the world, covertly getting in and out of countries some of us can't even pronounce. His goal is getting children back to where they belong. So far, he and the boys have a 100% success rate. Pretty cool. They've safely brought home 56 kids. He pays for these missions out of his own pocket using his savings and money he earns from different consulting and speaking engagements. Today he travels nationally and internationally as well as saving children as well as a speaker. He's a veteran of Afghanistan, Nicaragua, Angola, Somalia. He was awarded the Intelligence Commendation Medal, security consultant and advisor to private military corporations. He's the author of Terrorism Survival Handbook. He's the author of Dolphins in the Sky, The Narrow View, Spy's Guide to Dating. Ladies, Spy's Guide to Dating. He's featured on Combat Mission USA Network. He was consulting producer of the Avenger TNT, technical advisor to the show Jake 2.0, associate producer to the CBS TV show The Agency, and many more. So, gosh, the list is pretty long here. So without further ado, my buddy Boz.
Can you guys hear me? Yeah. Oh, good. I'm gonna pull your bed down before I lay in and sleep in it. Put that there. Thank you. How's everybody doing tonight? Pretty heavy subject, huh? Heavy, really heavy. One man or one woman with courage is a majority. Never forget that, okay? She was sold into prostitution when she was 7. She called us 2 weeks ago. She's now turning 18 and said, I want out. She called us at 2 o'clock in the morning. Needless to say, we couldn't get on a plane or get a team there fast enough to go get her in Chicago. So we had to help her navigate fault lines through COCOM, or covert communications, or the best we could. So we told her, get on a train. We followed it through our technicians, got her on the train. She was on her way on the train, and a guy walked up to her, opened up his shirt, had a money belt with $10,000 and a gun, and said, I'm here to take you back or to kill you. She ran, she hid in the bathroom. We knew the train. We called the conductor while they were on the move and said, you have an incident. It involves trafficking on your train. They said, we don't get involved in trafficking. It's not my problem. They said, okay, how about this? You have a guy with a gun on your train. Changed the whole story. He said, oh my gosh, got to call the police. When they pulled up, we were contacted local law enforcement. They apprehended the guy. He had already pitched his weapon. He still had his money there, and he was arrested or detained long enough for us to switch her onto another train, which was headed to Kansas City. We got her to Kansas City, and we had strategic partners there named Spot2Go. They're all former guys like us. And they were able to take her and escort her to the airlines, because we needed to switch the route. I thought, this is strange. Somebody was able to track her all the way on the train and come get her. Because she didn't have identification, which most traffic victims don't, we take that away from them. We call that hamstringing. You know what your hamstring is, right? If you get a cut, you think you can walk very well? No, you can't go anywhere hardly, right? So they hamstring them, and of course they can't travel on an airplane, they can't get on anything because it requires you to have an ID. They ran her through TSA through a special program, an agreement we have with them. They got her on the airplane, Southwest Airlines, they flew her into Los Angeles, we met her there with a police escort. That was after she had passed out on the airplane due to anxiety and drugs because she was on meth, heroin, coke, and who knows else what else. So as we were taking her downstairs to pick up her bags and we came out of departure, lo and behold, who do you think I spot right across the street? No, it was not my mom and my dad. It was MS-13, a spot. Does everybody know who MS-13 is? It's a very, very bad gang that got started south of the border that is now infiltrated the United States, and they do every dirty thing you can think of. And they're very, very bad guys. Okay? MS-13 spotter. We don't know what to do, so I burn him. I make eye contact with him to let him know that I know you're there. You know those little shuttles that keep coming around the airport? He just jumps on one and goes away. So we take her and we take her to a safe house intake. The safe house says, this situation is too dangerous for us, we're not going to take her. It's like, well, why are you even in the business of helping traffic victims if you're not willing to risk your life to help them? No, we can't touch her. So they said, here's what we're going to do. We'll take her and drop her out of a hotel, then you can take her somewhere else tomorrow. So we go, okay, we'll do that. Just don't put her real name on the docket, right? That's what they do. They put her real name down there. So now, all of a sudden, the next thing you know, she's still got her phone, because sometimes they don't want to give up their phones, okay? And she gets a text from her pimp that says, I know where you are. You're at this hotel, at this location. It's going to take me 5 hours to get there. I'm going to kill you and cut you up in pieces if you run away. So 5 hours from where we were was kind of Las Vegas, because this was taking place now in Los Angeles, which is, by the way, is where I sort of came from, that kind of stuff. So we stack arms, everybody gets armed, and we go to the hotel about 1:30 in the morning. We run about an hour of surveillance. We do the pickup with reinforcements. Now we move her to another location. She gets in this location, great safe house. All of a sudden, she doesn't want to be there. She throws a fit. She wants her way. Safe house calls us up and says, we can't have you. She's threatened to kill everybody. It's like, okay. So we go and pick her up. We move her to another place where she wants to go, an organization called CAST, C-A-S-T. Place, safe house where no law enforcement know where she is, supposedly. Think, okay, we got it covered here. We've done our job. 11 o'clock at night, we get a call from CAST. We are surrounded by bad guys who are threatening to come in and kill everybody if the girl doesn't come out. So the guy had found her again at CAST. So I get on the phone with Ken Schaefer from ICE. We have a special relationship with them. I go, Ken, we need to pull her out tomorrow morning. Can you make sure that everybody understands and we get her to another location, which was down in Orange County? He agrees to do it. He and another strategic partner, Rudy Gonzalez with CERT, we make the arrangements, we drag her out of there, we do some kind of stuff, it's our trade craft, we won't tell you what it is. We manage to distract the bad guys. We get her out, we pull her down, get her down to Long Beach, and we take her off to this other location. Now the whole time we're wondering, what is it that this young 18-year-old girl knows that's so valuable that her traffickers would literally come all the way across the United States to get her back and take her back? And here's what it was. Her pimp is a federal officer. Federal law enforcement officer. We packaged up the report, we sent it to ICE immediately. He holds 2 credentials, which allows him to come and go across the border with his girls from time to time. She had 7 passports. Takes the girls across the border, straps the drugs to them, to including explosives. So if anybody stops him, he can get away from the car and he can detonate them in the car. So we just got off that case. So it just goes to show you that it is becoming highly sophisticated. People are making money, and they want to protect their commodity. Okay, the clicker. Who am I? I run the Association for the Recovery of Children. It's 501c3, former intelligence, military, and law enforcement officers that are dedicated to the safe recovery of American children that are being exploited. We started in 1993. Anybody see a movie called Black Hawk Down? I was there. Prior to that incident happening, we rescued a couple of girls to find out that they were the abandoned daughters of an Italian engineer, had a family in Italy, had a family there also. We rescued them, so I won't get into it, it's kind of a long story. But when I got back to the United States, I started thinking, wow, there must be something bigger than overthrowing small governments. And what is that? How many kids were missing? There were 250,000 kids officially missing from the United States in 1993. Was anybody born in 1993? After 1993? Man, you guys are young. Okay. So, anyway, make a long story short, on a given day in Somalia, when I had seen all the ugly things I could see, I just kind of looked up and asked God, why aren't you doing something about this? You know what God said? He said, I am. I created you. I was like, oh, thanks. You know what I'm going to tell you? He did. He created you. So, ARC got started, and fortunately, as you heard, we have a 100% success rate. Since that stat statistic, since the 56, we've gone way over that. But we're really blessed to do that, and every kid we don't have to report home. And we're really thankful for that. So basically, I had to look at life and say, all right, why am I going to do this? Question to you is, why are you going to do it? Because I guarantee you, you can't hear all of this stuff today, and at least somebody in here is going to do exactly what you're doing. You're going to find it in yourself, you're going to get called to do it, and you're going to make a big difference. Why? Because if you do not, the question is, who will? That's it. Every day in life, you ask yourself, if you do not, who will? Well, the next guy will do it. Well, look at the state of our country right now. It's always the next guy doing it, right? Somebody has to stand up and do it. All right. At least 100,000 minors are prostituted each year in America, as young as 12 years old. That's a lot of kids, don't you think? A lot. Those are kids. Now, I'd like to say you were kids, but you're not kids anymore. Kind of right up there with us. One day, you will look like us. I'm going to share something. Look, this is a reality since I've been down the range with this for so long. We're never going to stop killing trafficking. It's been around forever. But we can take a big bite out of it. Until our Almighty God comes back home, a lot of things in this world are never going to change. That's your reality. You want to live in your reality, which is what can I do on my shift to make sure this doesn't happen in my neighborhood, in my country, in my city, whatever it is. You never want to bite off more than you can chew, and you never want to die on every hill. So you got to be very strategic about it. You got to look at the hard facts of what's taking place. It's just like when you rescue victims. That's a boatload. Trust me. People have problems. They've been traumatized. And you might have a great heart and want to do the right thing. You got to be prepared for it. You got to know what you're doing in order to help them successfully. But that's what we do. We fight battles. We don't always win wars, but we fight a lot of battles. We keep it off the front doorstep. This is a little girl, Willow Radke. She was abducted, sort of trafficked her with her mother. So our mother got out of prison. Her mother was in prison in Texas, met a Colombian cartel guy. They got out of prison together. They decided they would kidnap her daughter and hold her for ransom. So they did. They took her from Killeen, Texas, back into Mexico. A bunch of Navy SEAL friends of mine said, got this family, they're just carpenters, plumbers, they don't make a lot of money, they've been to the FBI, they went to everywhere, the State Department, nobody wants to help them. I understand. a lot of political red tape. Guess what? They're not political. We don't care. It's about a life. It's about America. Anyway, to make a long story short, we did locate her, and once we negotiated over the telephone for about 2 weeks, the guy said, okay, yeah, for this much money, it started out like $50,000 and ended up being like $5,000 by the end of 2 weeks. And then we knew he was an amateur. Nevertheless, they still had it, and the mother threatened to, if we didn't pay the money, to sell her daughter into prostitution. So we located them, and while the dad was on the phone, I said, okay, let's meet. We were trying to decide where in Mexico City. Anybody been in Mexico City? Well, go down there. There's this kind of like Vatican place. You know what I'm talking about, where the 2 cathedrals are and all that kind of stuff. That's where we were going to do the exchange. And the guy said, you know what, I changed my mind. I don't think we're not going to give her back. So I just had to play this card. God just told me to play. Look, when God tells you to do stuff, just do it. You're not going to understand it. You know, and I just said, all right, I want you to go look out the window. So you could hear Steve walking over to the window. And then all of a sudden you hear, he runs back and goes, okay, we will do the exchange. I have absolutely no idea what he saw outside that window. He saw something. It worked. We made the exchange. He backed to a big Catholic church there. He thought I was crazy. I said, brother, let's pray. I really needed to kneel down on that little bench, you know, and you know, the ones you can only stay down for so long. You guys know that one? It's that one because I had the money in my boots and I had to start giving it out. He gave me the money as we were walking out. I said, look, here's the deal. I said, I have shooters all over the place. Because this is where the deal really goes bad. He gets his money, he throws a grenade, he stabs you, he shoots you, or whatever. And I said, mark my word, we have here to there to go, and then that point, if you do anything, you see that guy over there, and that guy, and that guy, they will shoot you. Like you did. You did it. I said, so call your guys right now. So he calls his guys and says, you got the money, don't do anything, please stand still. And he's sweating and the whole thing. We go over, we get the little girl, Willow, and we bring her back. Successful story. She ate more than one little girl could eat in one session of dining. I guess it was incredible. I've never seen a little girl eat that much. Got her on the airplane when I was coming back to Houston. She was holding my hand. The rest of the team had dispersed. She stops and she says, you know, Mr. Boz, she goes, I'm kind of shy. She goes, but I just want to say something. She said, you know, if I had to have another dad, I wish he was like you. So the reason I tell you that is every time you rescue somebody, they think that you're their dad, their mom, their brother, sister, whatever it is. You become their hero. We need heroes in the world. We need people like all of you that are willing to go take the time, whether it's in your neighborhood or your state, wherever it's going to be throughout the rest of your life, to go help somebody because they're looking, they're hungry for it. They're looking for somebody to say, you know what, I wish if I had a sister, I wish she was just like you. If I had a brother, I wish he was just like you. If I had a dad or a mom, I wish they were just like you. Because you make the difference in their life that nobody else is going to make because you don't. Right? Who will? Exactly. All right, good. Well, what else? What's a Basel Boss? That's a funny name. Well, there's my mom over there, and you can blame her for it, okay? And my sister. Okay. So, my grandfather was a warfighter. He fought the Ottoman Empire. My father was a Green Beret, Special Forces. All my uncles served. And I, as you know, was a civil graduate. Oh, we skipped there. One thing I learned in the Marine Corps was know your enemy. Okay? We have a big enemy out there. Okay? As you know, the guy that tracked that girl all the way down the train, that federal officer who was eventually going to roll up in prison, he's our enemy. As commander, also, I learned it's not about getting from point A to point B. In life, in school, and anywhere, but particularly this. So what do you do between those 2 points when it all goes upside down? And in this arena, trust me, in anti-trafficking, it always goes upside down in between those 2 points. Always. All right. Look. Did you do that? No, you didn't. You did it, didn't you? All right. Got it in here. Okay. So, there's something terribly wrong in our society between point A and point B. When we know trafficking is happening, and we don't toe the line and do anything about it. And we have to ask ourselves, wait a minute. These are the future of our nation. These are just little kids. So how can we sit in this room and say, I'm not going to do anything about it? What is it about the way we think that challenges us to step forward, or challenges us to a point where we need to step forward, but we don't? What is that? And we're going to talk about that here in just a little bit. But I want you to hold that thought right there, okay? I was also CIA Special Paramilitary Case Officer. Just did a lot of things around the world. Like what? Well, in a nutshell, my job as a spy was to go into a country and influence somebody to become a traitor for their country and give me secrets so that you could go to school without having a nuclear weapon up on top of you. That's kind of it. That's what spies do. How did I achieve those goals? I achieved them by knowing what motivates people. Okay? All my life, what motivates you? Chances are, I know more about you than you know about yourself. Just by sitting here and looking at you. Just by the shirt that you wear. The way you have your arms crossed. That thing in your pocket right there. Right? What is that? Just checking. All right. Always on guard. There you go. And I had to determine a method to use such motivations to change their thinking and have them do exactly what I wanted them to do, like go steal secrets and bring them back so I know which nuclear weapons you want to watch on Florida. I had to understand those motivations like science. Anybody study science in here? It's very meticulous, isn't it? It's very logical to some degree. Exactly. There was a guy named Christian Armani, 17 July 1987. He said you can mold the actions of an entire society if you can influence the way they think. There was a guy named Stalin in Russia. You guys study history? What did Stalin do to influence Russia and make it into a socialist country? He tore down all the statues of their history, good or bad. So they had no history. They didn't know what their history was like, good or bad. So then he and his generations grew up because they did not know their history. Their illustrious Russian history, they became a socialist country because he told them exactly what he wanted them to become. Okay? He changed the way they thought. How did we do it? Well, we do it through advertising. I hear on good authority that somebody used to smuggle blue jeans into the Soviet Union before it fell. Why? Because it suddenly influenced people to do what? Think about, what do blue jeans mean? You remember wearing blue jeans in here? Freedom, right? There you go, buddy. Freedom. That's right. It's not like those polyester things, is it? No, it feels like freedom, doesn't it? It's America. That's right. Get little holes in them, it feels freer too, doesn't it? Independence, dare to be different, it's American. And American meant freedom, freedom of speech, happiness. You could go to America, you can be anything you want without state police knocking your door down and telling you can't do that. Okay? And sometimes we use propaganda. Sometimes propaganda is in your face, but sometimes it's very subtle. Very subtle. So, if we're flying in a jet, and I take that yoke, and I just yank it to the right, and you feel 4 G's, you think you're going to know we're turning? Of course you are, right? But if I just hold it 1 degree to the right or the left, after a while you're going to be 180 degrees in the opposite direction, you won't even know it, right? Exactly. That's how we subtly change your thinking. It just takes 1 degree. And those people that are schooled in this type of art, so to speak, and yes, I was, and that's why I know how the bad guys operate. Change your thinking subtly. We don't want it to be abrupt. We don't want to destroy you. We don't want to rip your wings off. I want you to go 180 degrees and think you're doing the right thing and think you're in the right direction. And then guess what? If you only had a chance to look over your shoulder, you'd go, oh my gosh, I'm supposed to be going there, not there. And I'm also a creative consultant. I specialize in cause and effect. So in other words, talking about that logical science, I use operational analysis to format that hard evidence into logical order so that I can determine the cause of the problem. So those are three things I kind of do. For example, like this. How many people know what this is? It's absolutely nothing. I just wanted to see if you were awake. Okay. Good. As long as you're with me, that's what matters. Okay. By the way, let me go down here. I always say, why are you here? Okay, stay there. Why are you here? Important issue. Okay, why are you here?
Because this is an issue that I think we should all be aware of. We all hear about it, but we don't really know much about it.
That's good. That's good. That's good. Why are you here?
Be informed.
Be informed. Okay. Why are you here? Both of you. Sure. Go ahead. Okay. Good. How many people are here to learn and hopefully, if it motivates you enough to do something about it later? That's good. That's good. Because I'm going to tell you something. If you don't do something about it, I'm going to tell you what, it's going to end up on your front doorstep. One day, all of you hopefully will grow up and you will have children and you will have a family. And the one thing you do not want to have happen is all of a sudden to lose your child one day to a trafficker. You would rather your child be murdered. Be able to say, how do you murder a child without killing them? You sexually exploit them every single day. Okay? So I'm glad to see those hands. Now, we'll see years from now how effective it is. Because much like we all know, hopefully we'll be here to see you do something about it, but you're right. It might not be our generation. It might be your generation. Okay. Remember I said there's something terribly wrong in society between point A and point B. When we first see the abuse of humans, by the way, trafficking, prostitution, pornography. I'm going to tell you something. I think you guys know I'm a straight shooter right now. You don't call us the Osama bin Laden guys for nothing. If you're involved in pornography, you're part of the problem. Okay? So let's get it straight right now. You got a problem with it, get it fixed. So you're contributing. Okay. So, some of these things are graphic. The only good thing needed for evil to triumph is for good men and women to do absolutely nothing. You stand by and you do absolutely nothing, evil will triumph. Every single time. So why do so many people have a problem getting involved to stop human abuse? Trafficking, death of children. Why do they not get involved? Well, there's some reasons. Some have priorities, they're overwhelming, they have responsibilities. For example, you have school. Now, I don't expect you to be that involved in it while you're getting your school out of the way. You only have so much time. But at least you're here. And guess what? There should be more people here. They're not. So maybe they have other responsibilities. Some people aren't even able to be here physically. Maybe they're in a hospital. Maybe they just don't have the ability to be around physically. Some are aware and can't handle it. It is emotionally disturbing. We deal with this every single day. It's traumatic. Fortunately, after some great training, you learn a compartment. It doesn't become an emotional issue for us. It's mission focused. It's strictly logical, but that's after a lot of training, being downrange in the military and other places like that. You just do what you have to do. Some don't care. Can you believe that? That some people don't care? They don't. But here's the big one. Some people care, but they suffer from a social disease called MJS. You guys familiar with that? You know what PTSD is, right? You know what that is? MJS. I thought you had never gotten it before. No. What is it? I'm going to explain to you what it is. How many people in here ever remember, I know what the answer is going to be already because you're not old enough, but anyway, how many remember getting milk bottles delivered on your front doorstep? Oh my gosh! Well, there you go. One person. All right, a few of us, okay. Oh, 1, 2, 3, 4. There was a time where we would get milk delivered in a glass bottle. You drink it, clean out the bottle, and you would put it back on the doorstep, the milkman would literally come and pick up the bottle, take it to the dairy, fill it back up, and deliver it for you. That's how we used to get milk. Why? A glass bottle. Because it had value, it had purpose for us, it had sustainability. We kept it clean because it had purpose and it was valuable to us. Well, MJS is milk jug syndrome. Okay? It's the deeply ingrained habit of ignoring the cry for help for humans that are abused, and it's reflected on the ability to toss aside lies without a second thought. Now you're going, wait a minute, he is like off the edge now. All right. I did come out of the CIA, so stick with me here. It has permeated every depth of our consciousness in society. I'm going to teach you something here that you're never going to learn unless you were in the CIA, okay? About how things affect you, and I'm going to help you change that so you think differently, so you can become powerful warriors to do something about this. It was born in our country because we want to make money. It was born in other countries because we want to make money. We are a consumer nation. Almost every nation now is a consumer nation. People aren't giving back, they're just consuming. That's it. Products that we develop to support the Lord's cause is just basically plastic. Now this isn't a hip on plastic, it's really bad, but you're gonna see where I'm going here. That you consume is what? You purchase something, you consume it, you ingest it, and you throw it. What we do all day long. You buy it, you unwrap it, you what? You throw it away, you eat it, you throw it away, you throw it away, you throw it away. Out of my 23 years of studying Aikido, the one thing I learned from my sensei was the fact that the reason we do repetition over and over and over is because you train your mind and your body to just react. It's the same thing the reason we go to jump school in the military, and we do things a certain way so that you just react and everything. So if you practice something enough, you train your mind to do it, subconsciously, guess what? It's okay to do it. Why is it that when I say, this is really bad that we have sex trafficking, that people go, oh, it's not so bad? Because our society has what? Thinks that sex is just fine on all levels. So, guess what? Sex trafficking is about 15% about sex. The rest of it's about how do I dehumanize somebody, how do I cage them up, how do I beat them up, how do I drug them up, how do I embarrass them, how do I control their mind. Human trafficking. Okay? Just use different terms. But basically, we become organisms and we feed on everything. In fact, we even feed on our own people. What are some of the sub-products that are for sale? Prostitution, or being prostituted. Let's see, what's the latest on prostitution? Kamala Harris. Congress, she wants to legalize prostitution in the United States. I fought against her 2 years ago in the Senate. And she called a meeting, but they disguised it as it was supposed to be a public hearing, but they disguised it as a safety meeting. That's what it was. So we went there because we knew that they were going to hide it. And if you've ever been in front of the Senate, you know they have a number of people who get to speak, but the Senate gets like whoever they want to speak first. So about 90% of the speakers were in favor of legalizing prostitution. 10% of us were not. Now this was funny. Prostitution in the state of California is illegal, and yet the sex workers union was there. And she called upon them constantly. So let's see, we're going to legalize prostitution, and that means we're going to make every pimp a legitimate businessman. Why? So we can tax him, so we can make money off of him. Consumer, it's always about the money, unless it's about the people. You guys need to be aware of that kind of stuff. Okay? You need to be really on top of it. So, prostitution, legalize it. How about pornography? Well, we talked about a little bit about pornography. I think last year, someone correct me, I was at the Bureau, I'm an adjunct professor for the FBI, I just got back from Quantico. I think this year, $26 billion in child pornography globally. 800,000 kids, probably more now, missing from the United States. You see 800,000 kids walking around the street. Does it make you think, well, where do they keep them before they shoot them on camera? How do they transport them? It's very sophisticated, isn't it? It's a great business model. And here, I'll tell you this too, I always say this. If any of you, all of a sudden, when you leave here, get excited about the business model, I will hunt you down. It will make your life miserable. You will wish you had never done it. And you can tell your friends that too. We're tier 1 operators. And while we did not get Osama bin Laden, we are the guys that are trained to go get that. And retail traffickers, that same thing too. So while it is a great business model, it's not a great business model for anybody in this room to be attached to. Okay? Are we clear? Clear. United States consumer products sold. Oh my gosh, does this thing keep popping back? Look at that. Are you doing that again? You guys keep your eye on it. Yeah, probably. Yes. Slavery, we have more slavery in the world now than we've ever had before. I mean, like hardcore slavery. It's not plantation slavery. It's slavery. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter where you come from. It doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't matter your race, color. It doesn't matter anything. It's just slavery. That's bad. Sexual abuse goes without saying. Pedophilia. What's the latest on the pedophilia front? Well, let's see. Members of Congress and the American Psychiatric Association, APA, now want pedophilia to be a disease rather than a crime. There are members of different types of government, state government, that want that to be the case. Do you know why? Because some of them are pedophiles. And if they get caught, they go to prison. But if it's a disease and you get caught, put me on some meds. Okay? These are the things that you're up against in the future. Okay? Kidnapping for human sacrifice. Oh my gosh, just got back from Brazil. There's a whole satanic cult involved there. Just went to Cambodia, got a kid back by some witches of all things, right? We walked in, they had pointed hats. No, they didn't have hats. But they were witches. And they took a kid and they were in cahoots with the Russian mob in a compound. They literally stole this kid for human sacrifice, all the way from the United States. Child abductions, people for sale, remember to use it up. Okay. Why? Because the love of money is the root of all evil. Not money, but the love of money is the root of all evil. And it's big profit. Even for the average guy that just traffics 2 or 3 girls in your neighborhood. It's big profit. Or bigger than what they see. Plastic, again, we use it, it's a habit, that's what you're doing every day, all of us, we're throwing it away. So that's the, and so that becomes reflected in the idea of when there are certain issues like, I don't mind stepping on this one, I step on it anyway, so it's fine. Like abortions, no matter what you feel about it. That's why it's so easy, like when New York just passed their partial birth abortion law. You look at that and you go, wait a minute, how can you do that? Because where's their mind? How do they think? Well, I throw everything else away. That's no value to me. So let's throw that away too. It's the nature of society. We automatically throw things away without stopping. Nothing's generally made to last in a consumer society. Television, look at your computer, even mine. I just want to fix it, right? Finally, my tech goes, just forget it. It's going to cost me more to fix it than it is to buy a new one, right? So even in my life, there are things that we somehow can't get around, but we're aware of it. You know, there was a time when things were supposed to last. I mean, somebody, maybe your grandfather, your great-grandfather has an RCA TV sitting in his, you know, do you know what RCA is? An RCA TV is a TV, is a brand. Maybe it's in his garage, and if you plug it in, guess what? It probably still works. You know what? You guys know what a manual typewriter is? You guys know that? Those still work, right? Okay, so we have those things. So they used to be built that way to last. Not anymore. All right. It's become your way of life. Some generations are buying into the fact that nothing is meant to last, including a Constitution, the Declaration of Independence, our way of life. Perhaps it's time to change it, throw it away. I'm going to tell you something. Why does everybody come to America if we're so bad? you're never gonna get the freedoms you have here. You better do everything you can to protect democracy, free speech, and the Constitution, and the Declaration of Independence. You better get to the point that you realize that you're not Irish American, you're not African American, you're not Mexican American, you're just an American. That's it. And you stand on two of the strongest documents that were ever founded in this world of history, the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution of the United States. And with that, no one can discriminate against you. But we let people tell us that they can't. So if you want to be united as an American, because being united as an American is what's going to put a dent in traffic. It's going to let you see through race. It's going to let you see through color. It's going to let you see through language barriers. And it's going to let you see the bad guys for who they are, okay? That's the truth of the matter. I came out of the CIA. What we do is we collect ground truth. I don't make policy. So what I'm telling you is just truth. What you choose to do with it, it's up to you. You're either going to make the right choice, and you're going to gain from it later in the years, or you're going to make a bad choice, and you're going to suffer for it later in the years. And so will the country. But I'll tell you something. This country, with everything it stands for, if you don't protect it, somebody will change it. They'll try to make it a socialist country. They'll try to make, hey, let's look at Venezuela. How's that working out for them now? Huh? Right. You guys didn't grow up during the Cold War. I did. I fought against the KGB. We brought the Soviet Union down. Socialism, communism, don't be fooled by it. Trust me. It sucks. You only get in it, you want the way life change. Try that. All right. But wait, it might not be those things. It might be these things. How about if they have a severe case of denialitis? No one's got that one time I went at the doctor. Denialitis. What is it? Oh, that can't happen to me. Doesn't happen to my family. Doesn't happen to my neighborhood. Happens someplace else. Exactly. Can't be true. Do you know how many people try this? I want you guys to try this. The next time you go out and you're in a conversation, even with your classmates, go, do you realize that 800,000 kids are missing from the United States? And that a lot of them are being trafficked. And watch somebody go, are you kidding me? Here in America, try it. It's fun. It's remarkable. It's remarkable. You would think that people would be aware by now, but it's true. Everybody thinks it happens everywhere. And let me tell you something. It happens in rich neighborhoods. It happens in poor neighborhoods. It happens everywhere. Everywhere. Okay. And some people go, well, I just think somebody else is taking care of the problem. Yeah, well, guess what? They aren't. Okay, maybe it's that other popular ailment, the sensititis. Let me tell you what, I work in Hollywood, and they spend billions of dollars putting anything they want on the movies, telling you in the movies that this is okay, sex is okay, pedophilia is okay, they do it subtly, and all that stuff I was talking about. They write whatever they want to write. We got a bunch of bonkos up there, I'm telling you. Some are great people. I mean, we got prayer groups up there. We got people that aren't in prayer groups. I mean, they just write. And people go to movies to be entertained, and they veg, and they believe what they see in the movies. I mean, if you watch The Blacklist, that's all true. I do. All right. I wonder if the Holocaust ever happened. Have you ever heard anybody say Holocaust never happened? It's like, excuse me? Really? Look at all the evidence? And you can still put the evidence in front of them and they go, wow, look at that. Look at that. And it's like, what planet are you on? So the reason I'm showing you this is because no matter what you try to do in your fight to stop trafficking, there's always going to be people that are going to go, it doesn't really happen. And you're going to shake your head and go. You can put it right in their face. You can take them to a rescue and they're going to go, doesn't really happen. Doesn't really happen. Those people, leave by the wayside. Stay mission focused. Go do what you have to do for yourself so that every morning when you wake up and look in the mirror and you go, I gave 100% yesterday. I know who I am. I know the difference between right and wrong. I might be in the world, but I am not of this world. I'm here to tell you the same thing I told you a minute ago about our democracy and our Constitution. Do whatever you can to preserve it. We're only going to weather everything that comes at us as Americans. That's it. Based on the platform that our founding fathers established by God's great mercy. I'm going to tell you what. I don't know how he pulled that one off, but he did. And since we've been founded, people love us. Trust me, I travel all over the world. All this garbage about, we hate Americans, yeah, they hate you until they're in trouble, and then we're there, and then they love you. We give more money to more nations around this world than any other country in the world. Do your study, you'll see that. People owe us a lot, and we never call it in. That's called grace. And that was established by our founding fathers and by good people, sometimes in Washington. You can't buy another human life, so I want you to all snap out of the NJS. Java syndrome, okay? Just be aware that we need to start repairing these broken lives instead of throwing them away. They're human beings. They're you, and they're you, and they're you, and they're me, and they matter. If you forgot what a human being is, because we're generally like this on our phone or something like that, stop and just give somebody a hug one day. Okay? You don't have to give them advice when they're hurting. Just give them a hug. Just be there for them. Never lose sight of what human beings are all about. Because guess what? We only have each other. I'll tell you what, I've been places where it was just me. It was very lonely. Very lonely. Okay? You don't want to ever get there. You gotta give people value and wake them up to the fact that human life is not a piece of plastic. Human trafficking threatens your families, threatens women, children, little boys, across the board, all the way. We have to stop consuming, and you have to start giving back. That's what you do. You're old enough to do it. You're big enough to do it. You're the voice in America right now. You guys are at the college, universities. You can either use all your energy to cause problems, or you can use it to keep the country going and do what's right. Remember what Christian Armani said? You can mold the actions of an entire society if you can influence the way they think. I think you should ask, how do I think about a lot of things in life? Am I just taking stuff in, am I researching it, am I knowing what truth is, especially what ground truth is? So what's your life like? The question is, are you proactive or are you involved? If you're not, you can get involved. You can do just like all of us. Now I know you're sitting there going, wait a minute, okay, I was buying it all up until right now. You're a former CIA special operations guy, you've done this, you've done this, you've done this, and I'm not trained to do that. So does that add up to you? Okay, Spanky, I'm gonna tell you something. You and I both have something in common, and it's very important. In fact, it's the most important. You and I both have 24 hours in a day. The question is, what are you going to do with yours? Right? Hope the information has altered your thinking. Now, I'm not advocating run home and throw all your plastic away. I'd probably all food, you got refrigerators, just buy things today. You guys still have those little refrigerators, and then your parents are going to call me and say, you make my son and daughter throw their food out. Come to your house, you're going to burn it down with you in it. It's like, no, please don't. You know, joking about the plastic, but I just want you to see the bigger picture and develop different habits and be wise about the subtle influences. No matter where you get news, what's happening around the world, stop and ask yourself, what's behind this? What's this really all about? Most of the time, I don't take anything at face value. I always ask, remember this, I learned this in the agency. It's not what people are saying, it's what they're not saying that counts. So always ask yourself, what is it that they're not saying? I want you guys to learn to hear with more than your ears and see with more than your eyes. That might not make sense now, but as you grow to be older, just always remember that. I want to see with more than my eyes and hear with more than my ears. That'll make the difference between saving life and going to the way. Most people spend their lifetime wondering if they made a difference. I don't have that problem. And I don't want you to have that problem either. And if you walk out of here today and you get involved, you'll never have that problem. Even if it's a little thing you do. It doesn't have to be a big thing. You don't have to start an NGO, like go out and save kids or people every single day. But you're old enough to know what you can do. You know your bandwidth, you know what you're capable of doing. And you can ask people like everybody up here, how do I get involved? How can I make a difference? Even if it's a little difference. And I want you to help me send a message to our government, and that is simply this, that we will never go quiet, not with this issue. We will not allow prostitution to become legal. We will not allow the age of consent to be dropped down to 14, which is what Kamala Harris wanted to do at that meeting in California. Because the sex workers union needed people. Let me, just real quick, and I'm probably pushing for time here, please. When you think about legalizing prostitution, think about this. Do you think, I've never had one person that's been prostituted. And by the way, just know this, there aren't prostitutes. People are being prostituted, okay? These are generally people that got into this and they didn't want to get into it, they got tricked into it. And I've never met one person being prostituted, male or female, that told me, I really love my job. I can't wait to get up in the morning and go to work. Not one. I've been doing this since 1993. Not one. And it's because there's just so much abuse in it. I've never met any like that. So if we allow prostitution to become legal, then all the people that are being prostituted, they get burned out, drugged out, die out. Well, don't you think they have to have a resupply if they want their business to continue? So who are they going to go after for their business to continue? Do you really think the average 22-year-old woman who's got a solid job is, I think I'm going to be a prostitute, who's secure in herself, who her self-esteem is great, do you really think she goes and knocks on the door and says, hey, I thought I would join your club today? No, it doesn't happen. So that means they're going to go after who? Kids. They're going to groom kids, they're going to get them young, because guess what? The younger you are, the more money you'll pay for it. So that means you just gave open season to children. That's what that means. Okay? So stand up and be accountable as a nation, and let's make sure that no people are expendable when it comes to all of this human trafficking stuff, okay? All right. I expect to see all of you and eventually rescue you like it. Okay? All right, let's see if there's anything else. Nope, that's it. All right, thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Let's take a quick break. Where are my volunteers? Raise your hands. Okay, so if you have a question that you want for the panel, we've got one more speaker before the panel, and make sure you get those questions to one of my volunteers so that we can make sure we ask them. Let's take a quick 5-minute break. And before you leave, real quick, we talked about broken lives and lives that have just been destroyed. The good news is there is restoration, and we're about to hear from a survivor of this horrific industry that we've been talking about all night. So come back, get some questions down, take a break for about 5 minutes, and then we'll get started.